All right, I'm back for week 3 of Classroom and CEO discussions. This week, I am talking just more about like what led me to leave the classroom. I would say when I made the decision to leave teaching, like it wasn't to open a business. Like I stumbled upon business. Business was literally, I was at like an entrepreneurial festival that my city had given me tickets to go to. And I just walked past the table and put an idea in a jar. Next thing you know, I got an email about a contest happened, and then boom, the business came. So business wasn't like my priority. My thing was, okay, who are the people making the decisions about education that are impacting what I can and am allowed to do as a teacher? So I wanted to get more into those rooms versus expanding out to business, but the way things work, you roll with life. As a teacher, like for sure, I think the system of education varies from state to state, city to city, district to district. And I just found myself year after year sitting in those rooms when we were planning, like, okay, we know this is a standard that our kids struggle with. Now what? And once it's been a couple of years of every year, you know, they kind of struggle with this and there's not much being done to fix that, then I started thinking, okay, what's next for me? Because I got to make a change somehow. So it wasn't necessarily the system. It was just more so like, who are the people observing? Like, who uses this data? Like, why are teachers told to do what they have to do? And I just wanted to move to be more of that view, which thankfully now I do get to see the full scope of education, which I didn't before. And kudos to those schools and districts that you have all the stakeholders in, because there's times where decisions are made and people have never set foot in your school. So I'm always in awe when I see like the district in buildings, when I see superintendents, when I see coordinators, directors, teachers, coaches, principals, when I see all those people in a room observing, coming back to the table, giving suggestions, I'm like, okay, this is a good place, because that means everybody sees the value in improvement and making things better for our kids. So that was more my lens starting out. I will say just in general, and this is my area, I know it's not that way for everyone, but in my area, I was a Black female teacher. So that in itself brought a lot of things that I was just like, I know my white teaching partners did not deal with. I know they didn't walk in a room or sit in a room where someone was just overanalyzing like everything about them, and then you had to open your mouth and give a suggestion and then people buy into it. I know at the beginning of the year, I had families that were very hesitant to see, oh, my student's teacher is going to be Black, and then by the end of the year, they love me. So like I went through that enough year after year that I'm like, okay, if this is the position I'm going to be in, I'm going to run with it. And I'm really going to just show like the change I can make, how I can present myself, and really like just change the game. So that was my thing. There was also this kiddo that I remember, it was like my 3rd year of teaching, and she came from Chicago, and we had community circle. So I was just kind of going over expectations, like I talked about in the other video. I learned to do that right away. And I remember when I was like, okay, I'm going to be your teacher this year, and she was like, wait, you? But you're Black. I've never had a Black teacher before. You mean they're going to leave you with us this whole year? And I said, well, yes, ma'am. Is anybody else in here sitting at the front of the room? And like we all laughed about it, but it was in that moment that I was like, I'm about to show this girl we can do everything. Yes, y'all are going to be left alone with me and be just fine. And you're going to learn not only academics, but you're going to learn some real world stuff. And I just made it my business that everything that I went through, I made sure to embed in my class. So like one year I got engaged in my classroom. My class was a part of that. I gave them the roses. Like they helped create so many ideas. Our red carpet parties, I brought them to the table and helped them design it. Every year we had a class playlist, and they gave me their favorite songs. I would find the Kids Bop version, and then we would listen to that during writing time. And I got 2 master degrees while teaching. And I know my 2nd master degree was in educational leadership. And we had a whole graduation party. Like I brought in hats. I had a whole party with them with diplomas for them to experience that. Like I would make sure that I did a social studies with a twist where I brought in community members. So it was like food truck owners, realtors. It was just people that you don't naturally see, and I brought them in. They wrote a jingle for a food truck. A massage therapist business came in and like interviewed them. There were just so many things I had to think outside the box on, because I was not going to fail those kids, and I was not going to let one kid leave my room thinking, oh, I'm limited to this because I'm Black. I'm limited to this because I'm a woman. No, sir, ma'am, you're going to do whatever you want to do, and you're going to do it confidently. So that was just my whole thinking with leaving teaching. I don't necessarily feel like there was anything bad that happened. Yes, did I go through year after year of being the Black teacher, being the only Black teacher sometimes, and just different connections with kids and how I ran my class? Like, yes. If I knew my kids wanted to dance, guess what they were doing as a reward and break? They were in a dance. That was our brain break because we earned it. So I didn't do things that were standard or typical because I really leaned into my kids and what was going to motivate them. I also know too, like my class didn't work for some kids too. It was a very small few, but some just didn't get into that vibe of just the music and structure and all of that. And I'm okay with that, but I would say more often than not, the majority of my class walked away with a well-rounded educational experience, and that is what prompted me to kind of think about, okay, where do I go next? Because if I can make this impact on this small group once a year, like how can I make it at a bigger level for teachers, superintendents, principals, all of that. So that was really my reason, and just to show we can do whatever we want, and I'm going to continue to do whatever I want, which is why that naturally transitions into Excel. Like I want to show people you can be a boss, you can be considered the underdog of the category and still rise. I had a bigger passion and flow, and that's what I'm doing here. So thanks for tuning in. Again, like, share, follow, share. Keep coming back, and I'm going to keep these episodes coming every week. So have a good day.